The final topic before we can answer some questions about nitty-gritty Niner stuff is nepotism. People always come back to that with me. That, like, for example, when I broke the story about Jed York last week and no one reported it, you asked, well, why? And people said, well, Grant has no credibility because you got him the job at the Press Democrat, as if that made it invalid that Jed York left. That invalidated the fact that Jed York left. So let's talk about me and nepotism.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Iggy, what it means when, and I get this all the time, I get it on my Twitter, and it's when Iggy writes something that burns up 49er fans. That's where I get it. And they say, Daddy got him a job. I mean, who is he? And it means you're a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
It means you're a fraud.
I'm a total fraud. I shouldn't even be allowed to have a space to write and report on this team. I shouldn't have a credential.
Yeah, it means you're a fraud like Jed York.
Yeah, because he was like, who are you to call Jed York a nepotism guy? You're even worse.
Okay, so right. You know what? I want to tell everybody, because, I've been holding this in for a decade, and I want to tell how Iggy got his gig at the Press Democrat and beyond. Mm-hmm. Iggy, about 10 years ago, Mom and I had gone to the Big Island in Hawaii with my dear friend Gary Furness, who's a doctor in Santa Rosa, and with his wife and 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. And we were spending a week. We had a wonderful time. And Iggy was in our house here. One day, I took a short flight to Honolulu because I have a friend, Richard Frankel, who lives there, a doctor. Mm-hmm. And he was my older brother, rest in peace. He was my older brother's roommate at Yale Medical School, a wonderful guy. And I spent the day with Richard. And then on the way back, I went to I don't think I even had a cell phone then. I went to the airport. I was flying back to tell Mom I was, when I'd land and be back where we were staying. And Mom said, boy, the most exciting thing just happened. I said, what? She said, the Press Democrat called Iggy today and wants to offer him the 49ers blog.
And again, I had been freelancing for Comcast Bay Area for a year, which is now NBCSN Bay Area, and been getting very good page views and hits and comments.
And you had done some articles for the PD.
Yes, I had. I covered a Stanford UCLA women's soccer game. Remember that?
Yeah. And the editor is a dear friend of mine named Bill Piniella.
Yeah.
So Bill Piniella called Iggy and said, how would you like to write a 49ers blog for us? We'll pay. They weren't going to pay him very much, but on a freelance basis. Well, Dawn was very excited. And Dawn is my wife. And I was at the airport and I said, why would he want to take something like that? And I said, I want him to be a columnist, a freaking blogger. Yeah. So I want everybody to know, I didn't want him to have that job. I didn't get him that job, although clearly he was offered it because the editor knew him and was friends with me. And if he didn't know me, he probably wouldn't have gotten that gig. Obviously, of course. But I was against it. So I got back to where we were staying, and Gary Furness, Dr. Furness, came into our room and he said, sit down, Lowell. We sat at a table and he said, Iggy got offered this thing from the Press Democrat. He said, and you said no? He said, it's a no-brainer. He should take it. It's a no-brainer. And I had to think, what a schmuck I am. Like he's going to be an instant columnist? Yeah. So for the next 10 years, Iggy worked at the Press Democrat without a full-time job, without benefits. They didn't even pay his mileage from Oakland to Santa Clara. He worked for what my mother would call bupkis.
I worked for like less than minimum wage for a decade. Yeah. And I would occasionally go on the road to cover games. Who do you think paid for that?
I paid for it. They didn't pay for his airfare or we went out for a meal. Iggy, I paid for him, and they were getting free coverage. So in any event, it's true he got this minor gig at the PD, but he excelled. So after a while, this bunch Bleacher Report came to you, who I didn't know anybody there. And then now Sports Illustrated scouted you and you have a wonderful gig. You left the PD. I don't know anybody at Sports Illustrated. So yes, he initially got the thing, which was bupkis at the Press Democrat because he was my son. And I said, don't take it because I'm a schmuck. And now Iggy has moved way, way ahead. And there's been no nepotism because I don't know anybody. He's done it on merit. And you know what? So here's the deal. Whenever anybody in the future writes a comment on my Twitter, nepotism, blocked. Because now you know the story.
Here's the thing. Everyone gets a helping hand in their life somewhere. No one opens every door on their own. Someone opens a door for you, but the key is, what do you do? I mean, I was given a job covering a team for $1,000 a month. I mean, I made something out of it. I made a career out of it. Now I'm totally self-sustainable. I worked extremely hard. I never gave up. I went from making about $1,000 a month to $2,000 a month in 10 years. I mean, it was, a lot of people would have quit. There was, and I never was like, hey, maybe I should be a substitute teacher. Maybe I should go to law school. Like, it was either this or I was going to be a bum. And so it worked out. But just because someone gives you a helping hand in life doesn't mean it's going to work out for you. You have to take it the rest of the way. And I think I sort of have. I'd like to think that I have.
Well, I'm proud of you. And I think it's true. I did give you a leg up. And you know what? I don't apologize for it. Then
Del Curry gave Steph Curry a leg up. Imagine being able to learn how to shoot from Del Curry every day, or learn how to play football from what's Jim Harbaugh's dad's name? Jack Harbaugh. I mean, yeah, I grew up in your house. I got to learn how to be a journalist, how to write. That's not fair at all. It's really an unfair advantage that I got. The advantage was not that you knew Bill Pinella, and it was that I got to grow up around you and talk about writing, talk about journalism. That way, when I got to that level, I had a concept of what good journalism is and what good writing is, which actually makes me kind of unique in this industry all of a sudden.
And you also learn you don't care if they like you.
Right.
You want them to respect you. That's what you learned. Iggy, in all the time that you've known me, I don't have friends who are athletes.
When I got to the beat, I was expecting to see the beat that Ira Miller left and created. And it was like, wow, this is really not what my dad described when I was growing up. This is a whole different thing.